Next up, we got someone we're not used to seeing in the top three. Here she goes, Justyna Sniady from Poland. Obviously now living in Warsaw. Not Warsaw, she lived in Australia, but obviously from Warsaw.
Yeah.
Dream come true?
Yeah. I mean, I was saying, like, if when you say living the dream, I'm doing it right now. I was doing it, to be honest, after the single elimination already. Yeah. But now it's like, actually more than I dreamed of, I think.
I mean, obviously I know quite a bit about this, but you've got to, I mean, to add a little bit of extra to it. I don't know how many years ago now, but absolutely smashed your foot to pieces on this beach to come back.
Okay,
now.
I have a big history with this beach. First, when I first got here, my first heat and first time in Pozo, I broke my eardrum. Then I had to stay. I couldn't fly home on my first trip to Pozo because of that eardrum. So I stayed and I trained with the guys here because I couldn't fly in the air. I just couldn't fly. And I crashed. I stuck the push loop attempt and I also passed out. The guys fished me out here. A few years later, I broke a foot here into pieces. So this beach and me, you know, it was like 3-0 Pozo. And now it's like boom. You know, I'm coming back.
No, but you definitely stepped your level up. Obviously, over the last couple of years, your level has been getting better and better. But to stick it in a competition, that's what you've been lacking. And this year, you just looked super composed. You were making good decisions. Adam was saying the same thing. In that fight, in the one against Sarakita, instead of just blasting out, you were just holding back and doing exactly what you need to do.
You know what? It definitely comes with 10 years of losing. And, you know, so many things can happen. Like, I had so many times here in Pozo, even when you know, I didn't have the rankings, so I would meet Daida. I couldn't even make it top 4, so you don't even have a chance to get on the podium. And then there would be no double elimination or something. And I learned a lot. You learn a lot from doing stuff wrong, and I did a lot of that. But this year, to be honest, I felt first time good in Australia. I competed in the nationals, and I felt on it. I competed with the guys. I came quite good.
You upset a few of the guys.
I did. They already texted me that, you did a good result. We lost the second one in the
Roman were crying, basically.
So, yeah, and I just felt calm. And another thing is, last year was super windy here, you know? And I was still in a state of panic, like, when I was sailing my heats. Whereas this year, I was just concentrating on doing my moves, but I wasn't scared. And I think that was a big, how is that double? That was a big change for me. Yeah.
Doubles?
Yeah, to be honest, I torn all my ligaments in my foot about 3 months ago doing doubles. I lost my GoPro that had the doubles on it, unfortunately, but I am definitely getting closer than ever. And I wanted to try, obviously, I wanted to try, to be honest, as my last jump here, whichever heat is last, probably the one with Daida, but it got so windy. It got so windy. Okay, you can't see it on live stream, but in the end, when I was going out, and I just wanted to do forward off jump, I just couldn't, because it was so out of control that the board was going, the sail was going everywhere. I was like,
the lasting memory jump we have of you, instead of being the double, was that
push loop
stuff. Push loop.
Yeah, no, but I didn't have time, and I thought, okay, I'm missing a third jump. Like, I didn't have the best jumps, and the ramp looked like a push loop ramp. To be honest, I was cooked. Like, my arms already in the heat before. I actually had a big push loop in Sarakita's heat end, and I felt comfortable to land it, but I got gassed, and I was like, wow, I just couldn't hold on anymore. So.
We asked Marcel about equipment. Again, watching your heat, obviously I'm a simmer rider, so I know, but that 72 litre looks like it fits you very well.
Okay, hands down, everybody should get that board and just repainted it, whatever sponsors you have, because it's the best board ever. You know, and I actually received it quite late. I wanted to have it for the winter in Australia, and I was sailing on the much bigger board, so already going down to the smaller board here felt good. But this board, I tell you, we had some terrible conditions here when I came early to train, and it wasn't windy, it wasn't wavy, and I was like, wow, this board just does everything. It felt like it's like stuck to your feet, and it turns, it controls. You never catch the front side rail. Like sometimes when it's choppy or super windy, it like almost never happens, and it just turns on itself. I think it's Mark Perez's work, Kais and Olas, and so guys, thank you very much, because definitely I must, if I have to admit that this board helped me a lot.
You can see in the final, just looks like it fits you, like well. I mean, it just fits.
Yeah,
And then again, in Pozo, that is one thing you don't want to worry about. Is, you know, your equipment. You need your equipment working, and you have to be thinking about it. So, mom and dad happy?
Yeah, well, I mean that was stressing. He didn't sleep. I didn't sleep for 4 days. I made it till 3 in the morning a few nights. Today I made it till 4:30. I was like, yeah, I'm on it. So stressed. I think I was on the beach like at 8 already, had everything rigged, and then I saw it's not windy. I rigged 4-2. And I was like, I think Costa's in 4-7. And I know his scale because he was in Oz and we sailed here. I was like, okay, no, he's on 4-7. I need 4-2. Then it turned out he was on 4-0. But that just made me feel like how much, like this year, I really like to be stacked, you know?
Yeah.
I just like it. So
you're going faster.
Yeah, and I'm scared of being underpowered if anything. There's nothing worse than going out on the heat when it's 40 knots and being underpowered, you know? Wow. So.
Next question. A couple of things have changed by the sounds of it. I saw you went on a Brasilio Levi Cyber wave clinic.
Basically, I went all out this year on everything. I quit my job because people don't know. I always work full time. You know, I just sailed on the weekends and stuff. So this winter in Oz, I quit my full time job. I took all my savings and I was like, I'm just gonna try to learn every possible move I can. And I just sailed every moment I could, but it was the worst winter ever, like for wind. So I windsurf and I also tried stuff, you know. I was landing consistent new moves. I didn't post them anywhere. I was really focused on doing good in this competition. And then I was like, oh, I really would like to, you know, this is the one time when I don't have to be in a full-time job, so I would like to go to Maui. And I emailed Levi and was like, yeah, come on, we'll give you a friend's discount or whatever else. So I went. I wasn't the luckiest with the wind. Then I broke my sail first day. Then I got stung by jellyfish. Then my cars got stolen. Then there was no wind. It was raining. But for the few days I did get, obviously it's a different story when you're sailing on Hokipa and Levi says, okay, now, go now. Turn here, you know, this sort of stuff. It's like, I don't know, it's like Costa holding your hand through the double loop, you know? It's kind of the same story. So definitely had a big shout out to Levi and Brau for all the tips I got. And, you know, it's also different when you've been training some stuff for whole winter and I can show them my footage and they give me little tweaks. And even if I couldn't do it at the time in Maui, you know, I did a few new jumps, starboard tack first time. When I took the same tips with me to port tack later on, like when I was here actually, I was like, wow, okay, it works, you know. But really, if I'm talking about coaching, I must mention Jorge Vera Garcia, Dr. Windsurf, as we call him, who is coaching quite a few people actually. Alexia, you know.
He's also Costa's caddy.
Costa's caddy. We call him Costa's coach. Yeah, you know, one time he beat Costa in competition. Okay, I think Costa was like 9.
No, but Jorge's an absolute.
But I sailed with Philip and Jorge this year in Nauru. It was first time I could go in November because I didn't work, and I learned a lot from them. But also they gave me confidence. They're like, oh, you're like, you know, if Philip Costa tells you like you said your wave riding is really really good, you're like, okay, thanks. And then you're like, oh, fully motivated. So definitely shout out to him as well. And well, everybody for every little tip. Even this year when I was sailing here, you know, Ricardo would go like, hey, do this and this, or you will go more sideways, whatever. I was like, okay, you know, these are the moments that you know, you can ignore, can you really take on board? And I was really soaking everything in I could. Like I really put everything on one on this year to be like, okay, if this doesn't happen now, if I still can't do it, then I'm going to give up.
So now you're screwed, aren't you?
I said that every year anyway, but...
Now you're going to go all in.
Yeah, well, I'm going to definitely go to Tenerife and try to do good. Yeah, we'll see.
But you know the news, Dido isn't going.
Yeah, so I heard the news.
Are in the pole position for the world title.
I'm always in a pole position. Just in position for pole. No, but yeah, that's true. I mean, if at the moment I register for Tenerife and she doesn't, I guess that puts me in first. But you know, I'm taking it one heat at a time. No. No, but I don't know. Like for me, the best thing about this competition is that it was so windy. And it was full on conditions, and you know, to be fair, my favorite heat of this competition was my semi with Ibaya. Yeah. Okay, she didn't have the best heat, but I did. You know, it was like my first heat when I landed. It was 3 jumps to count, and I had more in my repertoire. You know,
with like 7 minutes to go.
Yeah, and then you have the stress of.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you don't know. Like for example, today when I was sailing against Daira, okay, I was losing, but I did this big back loop, and for me in my mind it was landed. You know, okay, it was a bit wonky, but I was like, okay, 6.5 points. So then I didn't try again, and then I come back and was like, oh, 3, and then I see, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe it looks a bit wet. But from the position I was in the air from, I was like, okay, this is decent, and it felt like I landed. So you don't know. But I was super lucky because actually when I was sailing against Sarakita, I was sure I'm losing, and it was Jorge who said, "You're leading," and I was like, okay, and it changes your mindset. So Yeah, really cool.
Hey, never count out. Well, there you go. Second place. And
I knew
keep
it.
saying it, but the women are on equal prize money here.
True. Does that mean the drinks are on me tonight?
Chip, chip, chip.
Hey everybody! No,
You can have a few more friends.
I wasn't working this year, so sorry. But I can get you some water from the tent.
Okay, so there you go. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks everybody. Can I do a shout out?
No.
Thank you everybody for watching and cheering. I know the guys in Australia were up all night, for the whole week. My dad, my friend Borsunio, who said that nobody believes him, we're mates. We're mates. I know him. He knows me. And everybody in Poland I know that watched, and basically everybody who cheered for me and everybody who believed in me. Because when I was going to the beach today, everybody was like, "Well done in the single. Yeah, just sell your best. Enjoy." I'm like, I was like, thanks. So when I won, I was like, yes, because it's like, boom, but to be honest, Sarakita said, can I just say, amazing.
Yeah.
Like the whole con, and the hit before, I was like,
Yeah.
and then it got super windy, so I was like, well, maybe, maybe you need a bit of luck. And I never had it, as you know, for 10 years, so it's good it all came this competition.
Well done.
Thank you. Cheers.
There we go. Justyna Sniady, someone who speaks more than me. You didn't think you'd hear it, but you heard it now. Like I say, second place in the world coming out of Pozo going into Tenerife. Obviously, Dinah not doing the whole tour this year, but in pole position, as she said. Boom, boom, boom.